Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Magnetic Growth Podcast. Today I'm joined by Spud. I don't even know if he's got a real name, but I think Spud's a cool name, so we're going to completely stick with that. But anyway, Spud is the co-founder of cryptosavingexpert.com, which provides people in Web3 with news, education, prices, and also guides. Crypto Saving Expert have created a pretty big audience, way over 100,000. So who is better to talk about that and their amazing growth in recent years than Spud, who has constructed it from the beginning? Spud, man, how are you today?
Jake, thanks for having me on, man. Yeah, glad to be here. And gassed to be talking about Crypto Saving Expert, sharing a bit of our journey as well. Talking about education, because I know you come from an education background as well. So it's an important matter to touch on. So yeah, thanks for having me, man.
No worries. Look, we're going to be digging for those growth gems. I'm a big fan of obviously, I only met you in Dubai a couple of weeks ago. Had the absolute pleasure. But yeah, looking into Crypto Savings Expert since then, it seems like you've had a pretty amazing growth trajectory in the last 2 years.
Yes,
So
2 years.
yeah, well, it's time to try and destruct that and provide some value to the people that are watching that have aspirations of maybe building something to the size of what Crypto Savings Expert is today. The first question I always want to get out there is, what are your current feelings about the market right now?
Right now, I think we're in a good position. I was expecting slightly more of a drop off, especially after halving. I like to trade seasons, so right now I was expecting a slight more drop off. I was expecting Bitcoin to be around the kind of $50,000 mark, and where are we right now? I think we're at $64,000 today, and it looks like we may even go a little bit higher towards that kind of 67, 70 kind of region again. I was expecting a cool off this summer. A lot of people were saying, walk away in, sell in May, walk away, etc. And it's often how I've played it in years gone past. But where we are right now, if we can kind of hold this range for the next month or two, make it through to August, September, from there, I think we're going to have an absolutely bullish October, November, December, really bullish Q4. So I'm excited for it. I think if we can range, there's going to be a few good projects going on throughout the summer right now. But I think if we can range until then, we're going to absolutely blast off come the winter.
You know what I love about that? You quite clearly showed that you have a more than one skill set and you have the trading aspect as well. Because most people ask the question, yeah, bullish at the moment, later on this year, I think we're going to go somewhere. You're talking about ranges, you're talking about price action, movement. There's more to Spud than just Crypto Savings Expert, right?
Not just a degen, man, or a pretty face.
Definitely a pretty face. All right, cool. I agree. I'm hoping Q4 will be one to remember. And yeah, I mean, selling off in May, probably, I don't know. I think maybe end of March might have been the better call, in hindsight. But hindsight's a wonderful thing. But yeah, look. So, talk to me about how Crypto Savings Expert came around. That journey from where you were before, coming into it, why you set it up. Just give me the background.
Yeah, so our CEO, That Martini Guy, he came up with the idea. This is, his child. He came up with the idea of what really is an issue with cryptocurrency and to newcomers coming into the space. Look, there's 5 stages of cryptocurrency. There's learning, the struggle, the breakthrough, consistency, and then scalability. And that those first 2 stages, the learning and the struggle, it's hard to get through until that breakthrough. It's super hard to get through those early stages. And like yourself, you would have learned when we first came into this industry, 5-10 years ago, whatever. It was more difficult. The barriers were harder to overcome because there wasn't the information there wasn't the education, there wasn't as much of the hand holding. So the idea and the precipice behind Crypto Saving Expert was to make it easier for people to step into Web3, give them the tools necessary to educate themselves, and then to continue their journey. because it's like the classic saying, isn't it? You can give a man a fish and and he eat for the night, but you've got to give him the tools for him to take on and scale his journey through there as well. And that's what we want with Web3. We want people that aren't just going to come here, make a little bit of money on a meme coin, or lose money on a meme coin, then leave the space. We want to build together and build the numbers there.
What I like about that is we're talking about another dimension of growth that is so important, and that's personal growth. We discuss basically full time on here about Web3 growth. So, how you grow your project or whatever it is that you're working on. But there always has to be a step back that comes down to you at an individual level and being able to give yourself, as you rightly mentioned, the tools to be able to become successful in whatever you're doing. And that's what you're doing for the average retail coming into Web3 who want to make a success of it. So I have, like you said, I come from an education background, and therefore, you're only going to get praise for me from me on what you're doing and understanding the importance of that. So it's just like a sidebar in this podcast. The first stage of growth is personal growth. Which I think is a super important point. So your role at Crypto Savings Expert, you head up business development, right?
Correct. Yeah, I started off, how I came to meet Jordan. I was a big fan of That Martini Guy's work. I followed, I learned a lot from his YouTube channel. Winded up meeting Jordan at a Swissborg event, and then at that point, I said thank you. I've recently, for the last 6 months, I quit my 9 to 5. I'm a successful self trader, thanks to the education that you gave me. And at that moment, he said, "Okay, I'm already thinking about putting this business together. Drop me an email, and we'll discuss about it." And a few months later, that's where we came together to create Crypto Saving Expert. So with BD, I started off doing content, and then soon started going to these events, started networking, started bringing deals across the table, and then realized I have a background in sales from my previous 9 to 5 as well. We didn't particularly have a BD role at that stage, very early on in its infancy. So from there, we decided to strategize and to target BD, going to these events, meeting up with these new projects that are coming to market and need that extra awareness.
Awesome. So 2 years in, right? 2 years?
2 years, yeah. 2 years and a bit.
Perfect. From a business development side, what's been some of if you can recall maybe one or two like really big successes from a business development side, and how that impacted growth on Crypto Savings Expert, that would be brilliant.
I've got to say, for myself and for the company, let me just turn off my Discord there. For one of the best success stories was actually going over to Taiwan this time last year, funnily enough. So I got an invite from a good friend of mine, Web3 Caesar. Shout out to Web3 Caesar. And I was in Thailand at the time, and he said, "Look, why don't you come over to Taiwan for the Solana Hack House? It's only a 2-3 hour flight away. Come stay with me and the boys at the hostel. We'll have a good time." So I went over to the Taiwan Solana Hack House event, and it just completely opened my eyes up to what the foundation there were doing, still building, which felt like at the time felt like we were in the depths of a bear market. There were so many people there networking, building together, and for me that was a great success with our BD strategy. Going to these events, meeting people in real life, being able to gain that trust from meeting people face to face and build those relationships there. It was a great success story.
Awesome. I agree. I think in an industry where so much is not in real life, and how much we operate online, being able to bring something meaningful about in the real world can really help a relationship stand out. And you've obviously experienced that firsthand. So before kind of we jumped on the podcast, we were talking about some of the strategies that have helped build Crypto Saving Experts audience, maybe not so BD wise. So maybe more on the marketing side, the awareness side. Could you give us a little bit of insight into what's worked well for you guys to be able to build an audience?
Building an audience for us, a key key component was offering our services for free. Too many people, come to the industry and they put a high price tag without being able to prove what they can offer. For the first year of business, maybe even a year and a half, there was no cost to any of our users. We didn't charge an absolute, didn't charge a thing. Even now, the bulk of our website is still, remains free. We didn't want to take from the community. We wanted to give to the community. So where I think we had success was being able to offer our services for free, giving to the community, and then building up that audience, and then finding ways that you can, rightly so, skim some profit also from retail as well, was what we did by creating the premium Discord group. But for the first year and a half, we like to package all our services and offer it for free.
Awesome. So in recap, freemium based service, come on, see the value of the product, and then for the additional benefits, pay something.
Exactly.
It takes, it takes someone who's extremely committed to product to be able to do that. Because if your product doesn't provide value, you're going to have very low conversion onto any form of pay plan. And if you're in that situation, you can't build a sustainable business. A lot of crypto projects obviously bring in revenue through their token. And a common theme that we've seen so far, since the inception really of Web3, is launch a token, build later. So wrong. So wrong as a model. You'd never in traditional business say to someone, oh, let me charge you £1,000 for this product, and I'm going to use that £1,000 to build the product. Doesn't happen. It's not viable. And for some reason, it's almost become a standard in this industry. I think it's going to change. I hope it will. But yeah, I like your approach where you've gone out to build something, you've offered it for free. I'm sure that that's enabled you to improve your product drastically through user feedback and get yourself to a point where you can actually start charging for something. And yeah, how's that going so far? How's the conversion between like the free service into the paid service? And also, what do you do internally to try and increase conversion from free to paid? Do you have any strategies in play?
Yeah, with so how it went going from free to premium as such. We had a lot of content and education, and what we found was it was hard to engage people anyway. So that's where we started building up the community, whether that be through Twitter, through previous Telegram groups as well, and then we started building our offering of the premium Discord and what that will entail as well. And it felt quite easy at the time, because where we built up the trust through our services from the previous year, people were ready for the next the next step up, and we had already proved what we could offer and what we could provide, and it was quite an easy conversion. I was of course I had my worries at the time. Will people pay for this? It's quite an expensive ticket. Will we be able to provide that worth? And yeah, everything went swimmingly, and it continues to build. Now we have over 300 premium members, which it's been amazing as well, and lets us kind of re-engage with our community as well. Gives us a good place there. Strategies wise, how we went about it was using people that had trust in the game, using CEO That Martini Guy, using him to kind of broadcast his methods as well. And also internally through, very organic, through Twitter, through our newsletter, were some of the best strategies.
Awesome. So a couple of things to dissect. Firstly, and this probably isn't the first time that anyone is going to hear this if they're conducting business in this field, but the impact of KOLs, key opinion leaders, or influencers that people might also refer to them as, and the audience that they already have, and how leveraging that existing audience can benefit you almost instantaneously, right? As it did in your case. I mean, being able to be the founder of a company with someone with, I mean, what's the Martini Guy got? 1 million plus?
So it's a million plus combined, and I think we're looking at something like 600K on Twitter alone.
Exactly. So a huge audience cold start problem. How do we get users for this service in the first place? It's been overcome because one of the founders of the business, their value is more than just
Yeah.
I don't know, a lot of co-founders might bring a specific skill set. His
Mhm.
value was being able to bring over an existing audience, which, by the way, he'd already primed for this sort of
Yeah.
service, which I think is also really important. It's not so much a case of go and try and start a business and get someone involved who is a sports person. Maybe they're a footballer in the Premier League. Like, you're going to be looking at an audience of sports fans, right? How many of
Yeah.
those are also sports fans and into Web3? The audience reduces. You work with someone like the Martini Guy to offer a crypto-based education guidance platform and community. His whole audience is, completely relating to what you're trying to offer, which is probably why you saw success early on. And you also have to think about the conversion point. So
Hmm.
in terms of producing free content and being able to organically press that content out, if you've got someone who can leverage your content and put it in front of their own audience without feeling like they're promoting to them because it's useful information for their audience anyway, that can be
Exactly.
a super useful tool as well. So yeah, I'd always say if you can. I mean, a lot of people go, "Oh, I want to work with KOLs, but they're expensive." Necessarily, yes, they are. However, maybe if you can, like you did, Spud, get
Mhm.
into bed with someone with an audience that's perfect for the product you're trying to build from an early stage, that can really give you a step up as it has in your case, right?
For sure. No, like you said there, Jordan throughout his own personal career has been building up to this moment, building that community. And one of the reasons was, a lot of his community were getting scammed, they were falling for impersonators. So, he wanted to create this safe space for them to enter the Web3 and kind of leave, not hassle his personal account, say, oh, I've got scammed. Okay, look, we've got a place here which teaches you about online security. Go check it out. It was that's how it came about.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And yeah, sometimes you can provide value to a KOL's audience, and that value might be more than the money that you can pay them. So everyone has, different ambitions. And if you're
Exactly.
getting started and you can work with someone like that, as I've mentioned already, it gets you over that cold start problem,
Mhm.
allows you to build an initial user base. If you've already built a product that's providing value, that user base is going to help you make that product better, which is going
Yeah.
to enable you to attract an even bigger audience through product led growth, and you're off to the races. So I really like that approach. The second part that I found quite interesting from a growth perspective, like I just touched on, was the trust that you had in the content and how the content brought around credibility and built trust with your potential audience. Do you think that you would have seen the growth that you have if you never provided any free content?
Yeah, because we wouldn't have had the footfall without providing the free content. Other than them doing us a favor, we wouldn't have been providing them anything. We wouldn't have been giving them anything. I think if we had gone about this a different way and just kind of focused more on creating a community in the private Discord, I don't think we wouldn't have had the people that we want in there. The community that we have built now, they're a bunch of ambitious individuals who are looking to improve, educate themselves, and become better traders. So the class of people that we have in the community now are a lot better through them coming in through the education. Yeah, and without providing the education and going with that guide, it would have been a different story. It would have it would have been more focused around monetization and all of that. Whereas crypto saving expert at the moment, we like to see ourselves providing a service, giving back to the people. It's a website that you can send to your mum, your grandma. They can click through it and they can take something back from that as well. And it's something which is more than a KOL and influencer, and something which we want to stand the test of time.
So I want to dissect something really important there, which is how you initially attract your audience. So for
Mhm.
you guys, it's by providing content and educating them, and how that gets you the right audience. So if you went out there and said, join my community, you got to pay for it, you're going to get 100 X's, just as an example. People
Yeah.
come in, they realize they've got to educate themselves to then be able to achieve the dream that you sold them. A retention would be terrible. Again,
Yeah.
I might be wrong, but logic speaks that it would be terrible. Whereas you're consistent with your brand messaging and the content you put out in regards to the product that you actually offer. So when people come in, they're getting what they expect, hopefully more than what they expect, but they understand the nature of the product
Yes.
based on how you've managed to attract them in the first place. So being able to align awareness of your product with what the product actually delivers can be a massive booster for retention.
No, that's you've nailed it there, and it's exactly that. It mimics the world of Web3. People can come in, get lucky, but to really get that consistency, which I mentioned earlier, is the fourth stage of cryptocurrency. To get that consistency, you have to stick at it. You have to stick around, improve yourself, educate yourself, surround yourself with others. And once you've narrowed, knuckled that down, next comes the scalability side of it.
Definitely. Cool. So we spoke about strategies that have armed you to get to where you are today. Um, I would like to talk about things maybe that you tried that didn't quite work. I think that's such an important angle of education, especially when
Mhm.
it comes to growth. Anyone who is handling growth, whether it's in Web3 or elsewhere, it comes down to testing and learning from failure and optimization. I
Yeah.
mean, most things in life do. Um, but have you got any gems that you can share with us on things that definitely don't work in this market so that
Mhm.
there's maybe some people listening to this that are going to get a little bit of alpha on what to avoid spending time on?
So I know we've been discussing content, but for us there was a kind of turning moment where we realized the content we were putting out, great quality, but if we're not putting it in front of the audience, if we're not engaging them, not leading enough people towards it, then it's irrelevant. It's almost useless. Like we were definitely in the first year or so overspending on content because we wanted to have the best content, the most factual, up-to-date cryptocurrency content. Any question you had about cryptocurrency, we wanted to have it in our guide somewhere. We wanted, no stone unturned, basically. And that was actually a mistake because we weren't very gun ho on, getting all the content over. And where we should have been perhaps focusing a bit more was building that community and also the marketing of it. We've had to kind of learn on our feet a little bit with the marketing. Bring on a separate marketing guy that came in and kind of turned things around as well. And we realized where not so much things we weren't doing, not so much things that we had overlooked, but things that we weren't doing to its prime, weren't giving it its full attention, and perhaps looking at building content and stuff that was not exactly building us. It was building the name, building the brand, but it wasn't building the community, wasn't getting more people in. We should have stuck to a more basic kind of level of content and then focus more on the marketing from an early stage, perhaps. But I also don't regret that now because we have a bank of content, which is good that we built. But perhaps we could have switched to the marketing a little bit earlier.
It's really interesting you say that because this podcast is a prime example of me having learned what you have learned in a previous
Mm.
business. I remember before I was in Web3, I was doing consultancy, growth consultancy for edtech companies, education
Yeah,
technology companies. And I produced a full course on how to basically growth hack an edtech company. And I also wrote a book. I spent hundreds of hours, right, writing this out and producing
yeah,
the course. And obviously a lot of money as well to produce this content because I was under the impression create the content and they will come.
yeah,
I was very wrong. I was very, very wrong. And I spent a lot of time producing resources that were probably very helpful for people. I hope so, because I spent a lot of time on them. But necessarily, I had no idea how I was actually going to get them to the right audience. Fast forward a few years, and I'm here with Magnet, and I'm starting this podcast. I'm invested a lot of time into building this podcast,
Yeah.
and the one thing that I have done differently this time is from the very start, we have a growth associate whose sole job is their full-time thing is to run the content for Magnet.
Yeah.
So that's one aspect, having that focus from the beginning. The second aspect is, I don't know how to say this, but if I just go and talk to anyone about growth on the podcast, what audience is that giving me? If I talk to people that have audiences that could benefit from the podcast, such as crypto savings expert, there will be people that in your community that will find this discussion really interesting, and no doubt they'll see it. That enables me to access another audience and also provide value to that audience. So it's growth through the guests that we actually have on the show. So there's a strategy. We're not
Yeah.
just going out aimlessly, spending hours on producing content, crossing our fingers and hoping it does well. Because from my experience and from your experience, it does not do well. You have
No.
to have strategy beforehand. It's the same with yesterday. We launched our first ever newsletter, and we had subscribers rolling in. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. But the reason for it is if you read that newsletter and you're in growth, hopefully you can spot a few things that we did in that newsletter to make sure that we got good coverage.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just wanted to give that personal example. It felt right based on what you said, but I feel your pain. I've made that mistake. Do
Yeah.
not just believe content will move on its own. There has to be an engine behind it,
Yeah.
and save yourself some time, DGens.
I think we see that with a lot of projects, even outside of Web2. Some people get so confident in the quality of their service, their product, their work, but actually, almost over half of the problem is getting people over the line, getting them to actually use the product, the service, etc. There. Rather than, sometimes you can focus and you can be so confident within yourself that your service is better than the others, but you need to show people that.
Definitely. Great point. Okay, so Spud, if you were to, by the way, where did the name Spud come from? Can we just pivot to
I
that
I
quickly?
don't know if I can say the real reason on here. We don't want to get blacklisted, but basically,
Please
my
give it.
my mum, I was born a Spud. Put it that way. I've heard my mum call me my passport name probably less than a handful of times. So I've been Spud since a little Spud.
But like, was it because you looked like a spud or you behaved like a spud or like
I had two rather large size Spuds.
okay.
I've grown into them.
Say no more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that deserves a follow on Web3 Spud, to be honest, because that is one of
Awesome.
the best DJ names with great
Yeah.
meaning behind it. Perhaps there should be an NFT collection of
Don't
Spuds.
tempt me, Jake. Don't tempt me. It's
I love it. I love it.
funny enough. We just launched a meme coin. I won't do a shill on here, but it's Spud related almost. And I didn't even realize until halfway through. Someone went, "Oh, that's funny," and I went, "Oh, yeah, that makes complete sense."
Okay. All right. So on the meme coin, I know it's something different to crypto savings expert, but we're on a
Yeah.
growth podcast. Give it to me. How are you going to grow the meme coin? What's the plan?
Once again, it's with meme coins. It's about community. I don't take these things too seriously. It's all quite light-hearted fun. Almost comes down to a gamble at the end of the day. But with meme coins, it's all about the momentum and that community vibe. You see like a little bit of FUD and people will be selling off. It's so tribal. It is just tribal, and that's almost why I love it, because it really does depict what Web3 means to me. And I love the degen side to it. I love, it could be 100K market cap and people are saying not selling to 100 million market cap. It's just funny at the end of the day. And for me, I think meme coins, they come in seasons. And I do truly believe you've got to make the hay while the sun shines. meme coins, the stress of them are, I was up till 3, 4 in the morning last night. The stress of them, it's not always wanted. I do like utility projects. I am a serious person at heart. I do like cryptocurrency for the technology it provides, and for what it can do for humanity. But if there's a funny meme coin comes my way, and I can ape in and make a quick 2x, or just be a part of a funny community, I'm all for it. So I'd like to see the end of kind of meme coins perhaps in a month or two, and then it comes back in a few more months. I can't be dealing with year-round meme coin, and also I do not want people to be joining the space just for meme coins as well. I hope that they join the space because they see cryptocurrency as a whole, they see Bitcoin, and then once they've educated themselves, once they know their way around, they get Solana wallet or they get a base wallet, and then they can play with meme coins. I don't like this trend of people, their mate from down the pubs just got into crypto. He's doesn't even know what Bitcoin is. He buys a load of Solana and apes in on some trading bot. That's not what should happen.
It's interesting. I think you hit the nail on the head. Meme coins are community-led growth at its strongest.
Yeah,
So Magnet, our framework, 5 areas of growth. The final area is community-led growth, and we have the user-generated side, which is where you're not having to pay anyone like you would a referral to go and bring someone else in.
yeah,
There's more value for a user by bringing more people into the product. And like you said, there's a massive entertainment value when it comes to meme coins often. And I'm a big fan of how they work from a growth perspective. And I think they're one of the best examples of how powerful network effects can be
for sure.
by a long way. And we've seen some of the most amazing organic growth in this market because of meme coins.
Hmm.
And like you said, I think utility projects can take some learnings and inspiration from meme coins based on how good they are at community led growth. Now, it's harder in a serious environment, of course it is, but being able to make people feel at home within your community, whether utility or meme coin is one thing. Being relatable to people is another reason why meme coins do so well. You can carry that over to utility projects. Um, and yeah, just going out there to support the community and try and give back to the community and seeing the longer term effect of that. Again, meme coins that don't rug people, meme coins that provide their value and do positive things for the project, do see a lot of reward from that. So yeah, I definitely think there is a lot that we can learn from meme coins. There's
Yeah.
also a lot that we can learn to not do from meme coins as well. But yeah, I like the fact that the first way that your brain went was community led growth.
Yeah. And I think it's almost going back to our previous point where you can build a layer one with the best technology, and we see it we see it in the market. Unless you kind of adhere to your community's needs and what they're wanting out of this. I use Polkadot for an example. Had a rough bear market, wasn't up to much, and then say 6 months ago it kind of pivoted and it went, you know what, the meme coins, what they're doing right now. Look at what Bonk's doing. What Dog with Hat, all of this stuff. It's cool. And what Polkadot realized is they need to get a bit cooler. And you see
Yeah.
they go on CoinGecko now. They've got a cool logo which moves around. They're hosting these events. They're kind of putting marketing towards meme coins on Polkadot, and I think they really nailed it. And you see their price action. Since they pivoted, since they addressed what their audience desires, and probably learned a little bit from Solana. They realized that yeah, Polkadot, we've got great technology. They needed to make it cool, and that's what they did. They realized what their audience were after, and pivoted to that.
Honestly, I think anyone who's listened to this needs to listen to what Spud said again, because that's a fabulous example, mate,
Mm.
of how important it is to be relatable to your audience and realize who they are. Yes, there are people that are pure technologists in Web3, but there's a much bigger audience of people that are here for different things, like you said, wanna be on trend. As an example, and like you said, Solana not necessarily is the best technology in the space. I think
No,
if you look at a pure technologist point of view, they would definitely not put Solana as the best technology
it's
in the space.
definitely not. Yeah.
But from a community standpoint, um, I don't think there's a chain better than what Solana
No.
have done. And like you said, they realized that meme coins are very relatable to people. So
Yeah.
rather than just incentivizing and trying to bring high utility projects on chain, an important aspect for their growth as a blockchain would be to bring different areas of projects on that could attract and build communities on top of Solana. And one of
That's
the
it.
strongest mechanisms for that were meme coins. And I think Solana have so much to thank meme coins for.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned already, Dog with Hat, Bonk, so on. Like they set Solana alight and they brought people to the ecosystem. And those people are now within the ecosystem participating in other projects that are being built on Solana because of meme coins as an onboarding
Exactly.
into their network. And like you said, Polkadot have made a switch and they've benefited from that already. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's an incredible case study. And yeah,
Mm.
hats off to Solana. Like I wasn't one of the hardcore Solana fans. But I am a hardcore Solana fan when it comes to their approach to growth.
Yeah. And it goes back to, I mentioned my what changed my strategy with BD was going to that first Solana event in Taiwan during the bear market, when the only people going to these events were the founders that were still grafting there. And guess who I met, and made good friends with, was the founder and CEO of Bonk, Nom. He was there absolutely grinding away still. They had a bonk stool. They were giving out bonk. They were losing money by what they were doing there because it was only a small amount of people. But guess what? They were grinding throughout that bear market, going to these events, wasting money really. Their expenses for those trips would have outweighed what they initially would have returned there. But then guess what? All of that grafting, all of that grinding throughout the bear market comes, September, and bonk just goes from like something like a 13 million market cap to multi-billion or wherever it's at now. So it made all the sense to me as well, seeing the result of what a company like bonk were doing, and then seeing where they are now. Hats off to them. They fully deserved it. Big up to Nom, and shout out to Mac as well. So
Yeah, it's interesting. I hope that you bought some bonk.
funnily enough, there was actually I think this was back in Berlin now, at a hack house in Berlin, and they had a stall and they were doing like a competition to give away bonk, and you had to like answer some crypto questions. I think the top one was like 100 billion or 100 million, or it was at the time. I think the top prize was like $20, and the lower prize was about $3. I won the lower prize. And but like I said, it was like $3 at the time, and I think it was like 10 million bonk or something like that. And I think if you look at 10 million bonk now, it's worth like $100-$200 or something crazy like that. And I actually refused it at the time because as it was $3, and I know the team, I was like, nah, don't worry, give it to the next person. I wish I had taken that now. So
Yeah, or bought a fat bag in
yeah.
it.
It's fun. Funnily enough, I had the option of going into Bonk or going into Solana Monkey Business, because the founder, he also works with Solana Monkey Business. So I was like, oh, you know what? I don't think it's the time for meme coins right now. I'll get an NFT. NFTs, yeah, Bonk.
Look,
So I made the
I
mistake
think
there.
testimony has to go to the success of projects based on how much they grind growth, like
Yeah,
having a presence at a hacker house and sponsoring it at a loss with the hope of building community really does define where sometimes growth has to start,
yeah,
and how much of an influence growth can have on the success of a project. Simple as that. And even with your example, when we spoke about Polkadot, we spoke about Solana. A lot, Solana community led growth, bringing the right things on chain. Look what happened to Solana. Growth is it's not enough to build a good product in this market and expect it to just do well. It
That's
has
it.
to be building and growth. The whole reason Magnet came around, I think our tagline is something like growing the next era of the internet, because I was inspired by when I was rebranding Magnet. Chris Dixon wrote a book, Read, Write, Own. I also
Mm.
recommend that book. It's a great deep dive into the Web3 field and where we came from and why it's important. And I was reading it, I was just thinking, this is great for people that want to learn how to build something potentially with utility that provides value to people in this new way. But building's one part of the journey. If you don't know how to grow that thing that you've built, you're going to die.
Yeah.
Like, in very rare circumstances, can you build something and it just performs? It's happened, don't get me wrong. Sometimes there's been such strong product market fit that all someone's had to do is build it, put a bit of marketing behind it, and boom, it's a
Yeah.
big thing. But that's very rarely the case. Most often, the success of projects, especially in Web3, does not come down to their product. Look at
No.
the market. How much of the market is speculative,
Yeah.
speculative, or starts out speculative? Like, it's the growth geniuses behind the projects that are helping them build. It's not just what they're building.
Totally agree there. Um, yeah, no, it's you just can't rely on your tech. It's all about growing it in the right community, the right audience, right market. Yeah, I could name and shame loads of different projects, loads of layer ones that are just standing by their technology, and really the ones that are coming to light are the ones that are identifying this, realizing the best way to grow and go from there.
100%. And again, we already know that impacted crypto savings expert because, as you mentioned, your first approach was create the content and the product, and they will come. And
Yeah.
you learn that that's not always the case. So yeah,
especially
look,
with,
man.
especially with education, it's hard to make people want to learn. People have a bad association with learning. People think, oh God, I finished school, I graduated from uni, I don't want to read anything. And it's like, it will better you. But don't get me wrong, this is why we provide a full service of education, because not everyone wants to sit there, go through a guide, go through a course. That's where content like this comes in as well. So we go live daily on YouTube, and also the education through the one-to-one as well. Some people, they learn from watching others, copying others, and just seeing how others trade as well. So that kind of encompasses a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah, and education in its most powerful form is often coming from doing and executing on what it is that you're actually learning. So yeah, I'm a fan of it, man. And yeah, look, I appreciate you coming on and sharing a little bit of your wisdom. I think it's been very valuable. We've definitely touched on a lot of key points. So thank you a lot, man. Before we leave, how can people get involved in what you do? Let us know. Crypto savings expert or anything else you're working on in the space, the stage is your, man.
Awesome. No, thank you, Jake, for letting me join today. It's been a pleasure going through lots of bits. And it's been very insightful learning from you as well. If people want to check out Crypto Saving Expert, it's cryptosavingexpert.com. On Twitter, it's cryptosavingexp. Go drop us a follow. Go get involved in the community. Let us know. We do have a premium Discord as well. If you'd like to join, go check it out on the website. I would love to welcome anyone there as well. And as always, reach out to me at Web3Spud on Twitter. If you'd like another conversation, I'm all ears and up for building my network as well, guys. So thanks, Jake, for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully we can discuss later in the year as well.
Yeah, or maybe in person somewhere in Asia.
Perfect, man. I'm heading out to Southeast Asia, Thailand, Bali. We've got Breakpoint in September, October time, I believe, over in Singapore, and the Token 2049 again in Singapore around the kind of week of the F1. So I think we should definitely link up then. And yeah, any other crypto Web3 heads that are coming out to Token 2049, let us know as well. The more events, the better.
Couldn't agree more. And you said it as one of the most effective business development strategies in this market. Get out there and meet people, even if it's in your local area, and it's convenient for you. There will be people that are in crypto around you in most places. So get out there and meet people.
For sure.
As you can. But yeah, man, look, again, we wouldn't have had this discussion if we didn't meet in person, if we weren't both
Exactly.
on the Zebu Live.
Yeah.
You're out here in Dubai. Again, big shout out to Zebu Live and Flight 3 for connecting us together. It's only right to give
Yeah.
them the
Big
creds
shout
for
out,
that.
big inspiration in my Web3 journey. Anyone who's listening in now as well, make sure to come to Zebu Live. I believe in October as well. So yeah, I'll be there for sure. So if you guys want to network at one of the best events in the UK, Zebu Live's the place.
Yeah, you know what? I'll leave that one in there because I agree with everything you said. But yeah, man, look, thank you for coming on, and best of luck with the rest of your journey. I will be following it closely, and if you feel like you hit a stumble, and you want to say, "Oh, this doesn't work," let us know. We'll broadcast it to all the growth hackers out there and the builders. Alternatively, if you hit a strategy that just sets Crypto Saving Expert alight, or the meme coin project you're working on, give us a shout, and we'll put that out there as well. Perfect. All
Awesome,
right, man.
Jake. Thank you so much.
Take care, man.